Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RS Tech Talk. I'm your host, Miguel Gudino from RS Americas, and in today's episode, we have our special guest, Hawkins from Schneider Electric, where we're going to be talking about their recently launched VisiPacT heavy-duty safety switch and how it compares to other heavy-duty safety switches in the market. Now, Hawkins, really glad to have you here. Now, before we start talking about the VisiPacT, could you go over your background and your role at Schneider Electric?
Yep. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here today with you guys. So I'm Hawkins Boyer. I am our safety switch product manager for the U.S. For Schneider Electric or Square D. I've been with Schneider for about 3 years now, and I've been working on safety switches or disconnects for a year and a half now.
Okay. Awesome. Well, appreciate the introduction, Hawkins, and really glad to start talking about this VisiPacT and have our viewers learn a little bit more about what capabilities it could bring to the table. Now, the VisiPacT, I know it's a recently new heavy-duty switch under the Schneider Square D brand, and Square D has a really long history of safety switches, I believe since 1907, right?
Right.
So I'm very curious to know what these new unique designs are. Can you explain what the VisiPacT is and go over the new features Square D incorporated into these heavy-duty safety switches and why the changes?
Yep. First of all, Square D and Schneider is really passionate about our safety switch. It's ultimately what brought us along and where we started back in 1907, like you mentioned. And a quick little fun story is back in the day, our customers used to say, "Hey, I want that switch with a D on it," because it used to be a Detroit fuse company, and the safety switch is where the whole business started from.
Awesome.
So we take that really passionately and care a lot about it. But the VisiPacT is a new look. We hadn't changed the product in a very long time. So I brought one here with us today, as you can see on the screen here. Let me disengage it real quick. But the first thing is our viewing window. So the whole design change was around our viewing window and our Visi-blades. So you'll be able to see these blades without even opening the enclosure if it was in the on or off position. The second new feature is our arc suppressor or line side barriers. So this protects a user from actually physically touching the lugs on the line side. And also if there was an arc, it would dissipate some of the energy and save you there. Another cool feature is our ergonomic handle. So if this VisiPacT safety switch was mounted 10 feet up in the air, you couldn't quite reach it. You would need to grab a ladder in case of emergency. You can simply grab a hook stick and disengage it from there.
Awesome.
And lastly, a cool feature that I love is our QR codes. Schneider seems to be adding this on quite a few of our products. But if you were in the field and needed to know anything about this switch, you could pull out your phone and scan a QR code and see that right there.
Awesome. It's really cool to hear that even though you are a long-time player in this industry, you are still coming up with new ways to enhance your product. Now, talking about being in the industry for a long time, Schneider, I know, is no stranger when it comes to performance, right? Now, performance is key, so can you go over that and what users expect when getting a VisiPacT?
Yes. So when we designed this switch, we really thought about the life expectancy of a switch and how can we maximize that. So NEMA has a standard, a KS1 test requirement, basically describing the life of a safety switch. And in their normal operation hours, they really require you to have a 2-year life expectancy. And we wanted to double that and have a minimum of 3 times that value in a strenuous environment.
Right.
Is what we wanted. So at Schneider, we like to say 3 times the life, 3 times the value with our safety switch. So I can show you here on the screen right here for the viewers, just an example of the life expectancy. But under normal operations, 1 operation per 8-hour shift for a 24/7 environment, that's over 1,000 engages and disengages.
Yeah.
That life expectancy of that switch would be about 45 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, not surprising to see that Schneider put a lot of effort into performance on these safety switches. One thing that does tie into performance is also reliability or maintenance. Can you go over any maintenance ease or anything that would convince viewers that the VisiPacT is easy to work with?
Right. So the number one thing I think about when it comes to maintenance is now that we have this nice viewing window, if you're in a manufacturing facility setting where you have maintenance engineers coming to do routine checks, they have to check every disconnect and manually disengage or engage to do the rest of the downstream maintenance. Now they can quickly look inside the switch and see if the blades are engaged or disengaged and completely trust it and not have to open up the switch, because sometimes you'll see people opening up switches not trusting the gear. So now they have every time. And then second thing we really focused on for maintenance is the modularity of this thing. If you wanted to add any features or fix any components inside the switch, you basically only need a screwdriver to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So and then I use this one example from a time when after COVID, when global supply chain in this industry was kind of up in the air, and we were struggling to get stuff just like a lot of everybody was. We came across a time where we couldn't get our factory installed neutrals. So now these are so modular, you could order one separately and install it yourself. So with a simple screwdriver. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Okay, so really great to know that it's easy to replace these parts on the VisiPacT and make them easy to rely for future maintenance. The last thing I do want to touch on is the different varieties of the VisiPacT. I looked through these options and saw different types of enclosures, types of switches, and ratings. So can you go over the types and also what application best applies for these types?
So before we go over to enclosures, if you want to talk about fusible or non-fusible or types of ratings, the fusible switch gives you the most overcurrent protection, and then you can use different fuse types or fuse classes to get that certain rating. And that's all online in our digest, and you can specifically look at that. But for enclosures, we have a Type 1 and a Type 3R. That's your most cost efficient. That's a galvanized steel. Type 1 is just a galvanized steel we use. Type 3R, that's your outdoor application. And then Type 12 and 4X, those are your more strenuous. You're going to be more put stress on environments, whether it's corrosion resistant. So our Type 12 actually gives a gasket, so it's airtight and dust proof is what we use. And then Type 4X is your stainless steel. So for any salty corrosion environments or hose down facilities where it's going to be constantly getting quashed, that's where you would go for that one.
Okay, so while we're talking about these different specs, can you also quickly touch on recent and future code changes and how they tie into the VisiPacT?
So the VisiPacT was designed around two important codes. That was NEC 2020 and NEC 2023. So NEC 2020 was where you would need a line side barrier in case of service entrance switch. So now VisiPacT offers that for every switch, not just certain service entrance. It has you that extra protection for everything. And then 2023 was the door locking mechanism. So if the switch is in the on position, you actually cannot even open the switch and get inside. So it has to be disengaged to get inside. And the viewing window, the whole purpose of the viewing window at Schneider, we like to stay ahead of the codes and standards. So we're anticipating some code and standard changes coming into the market in the future. So we already have our window and added features for that.
Right, pretty much anticipating those changes already. Okay, so thanks for going over that, Hawkins. I think that the things that you went over, it gives our viewers a great idea of what solutions to gravitate towards and how it satisfies the updated national electrical codes. But that is pretty much all I had for you today. But before we sign out, is there any last thoughts or tips that you want our viewers to know about?
Well, first, like I said earlier, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this. The only thing I would think to leave the viewers with is our nomenclature, our catalog system for our safety switches. It is the easiest part in Schneider to order via catalog number. Simply, it starts with the VH, which is for VisiPacT Heavy Duty, and then it follows your poles. So if it's a 3-pole, a 2-pole, or a 4-pole, it would have a number 3, 2, or 4, etc. Right. And the second number is your voltage. So 2 would be for 240 volt, and a 3 would be for your 600 volt switch. And following that, the third number is your amperages. So 1 would be a 30 amp, 2 would be a 60 amp, and so on. And we'll show this up on the screen for you guys to see a look. And then after the amperages, you have an AND for a neutral if there's a neutral. If not, there would not be. And then your enclosure type would be at the end. RB for outdoor, 4X for stainless steel, etc.
Right. Well, awesome. Thank you again for going over that catalog for our viewers to know how easy it is to just construct their part numbers for whatever applications they need this VisiPacT for. Now, Hawkins, I really appreciate taking your time coming down and going over the new VisiPacT. safety switches, and I hope our viewers learned a little bit more about how it brings reliability and performances to their projects. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Remember to check out RS and Schneider Electric for your future projects, and we'll catch you next time on the RS Tech Talk.